This conference will now be recorded.
Awesome. Thank you, Raju. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, depending on which part of the world you are. And First of all, welcome and thank you for attending this demo. I know everybody has priorities, everybody is busy, but Python somehow makes way in everybody's life, right? So, everybody wants to attend and see what we have. So, first off, a little introduction about myself. My name is Ankit. I'm based out of US. Of course, I'm an Indian, but I've been in US for a while. I've been working here and I have about 18 plus years experience. I'm currently an architect and I have experience in almost every field. I started as a fresher, as a developer, and back in the day, most of you might not even have heard, there was a language called Protel, which was pretty similar to C. So I started with C, C++, and then moved with some Java experience. Then did a bunch of consulting, came to US, started working for a US company, which was a more of a product engineering role, which gives you kind of end-to-end understanding how things work in a real lifetime, in a real production environment. And that involved a bit of testing, a bit of QA, a bit of automation, a bit of scripting, almost everything. And currently, I'm working in my current role as an architect for almost 8 years in my current company, and actually 9 years. And I've been working in Python and some tool frameworks. I've been developing in-house projects, so many things in Python and stuff. So I have good, rich experience in Python and C, C++. Some of it is in Java as well, but most of my references are C, C++ because I personally believe C++ and C is a very strong language. And Python is obviously modern days language. So I have experience in that as well for a good amount of years. So I've been doing this with Mithun Technologies for a while, and even before that, I was doing these classes. So I have a good amount of experience in this as well. I don't even have a track. Maybe this is 17th, 18th batch, or maybe more with Mithun Technologies. And previously also I used to run classes for other people. So that's in a nutshell. Of course, when we go forward, when we get to know each other a bit more, not today, because today I want to be strictly demo and make you aware what you're going to get out of this Python course. So that's why I want to restrict today's discussion just to my introduction and that to a brief one. And then once we get started, we'll go through it and we'll understand how everybody is and how everybody is placed in their life right now, so that I can understand what are the group's dynamics. But before I proceed, I want to just highlight and answer some usual questions that are asked almost every time, right? So the usual suspects are basically, let me even start writing here. Ankit, what is the time frame and what is the course duration? So as it says, course duration is 32 classes. Oops, sorry. If you haven't received this, you will receive this. If you have already received it, that's good. Uh, but this batch, we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to have a longer class, 1.5 hour class every day, but we'll see how it goes. So obviously the number of classes will go down, but eventually overall course duration is based on 1 hour classes, 30 to 32, so that we try to finish it in a month or so. Excuse me. I have some running cold today. So the next Q&A is that, is this course for me? Very commonly asked question. So let me take that white elephant first. So I don't need to tell you guys that, or anybody, that today's world, we need to know Python. If you are even remotely related or connected to IT, it doesn't matter you're a QA, it doesn't matter you're a developer, it doesn't even matter if you're into DevOps, non-QA, non-developer, non-IT also. Even if you're into tools development, web development, script writer, automation, all of this is yes, you need to know Python today. And I say the word need and not want because Python makes your life super easy. So you, for example, let's take an example of script writers. Script writers are very good with shell scripting, right? Because they've been doing it for ages. Excuse me. Shell scripting has been there for a long time. But some things that you can achieve in shell scripting in a very complex manner, you can do it very easily in Python. So why not use Python then, right? So again, it's for DevOps guys, non-dev guys, QA, dev, test, tools, automation, script, script writers, web development, any sort of development, obviously, because Python is there in every sphere. All is yes. And of course, if you're a fresher, you already know freshers is the most, Python is the most asked for skill. If you Google, there's no longer Java that's the most seeked out of skill, it's Python. And it's very simple. Python is in every sphere, in every area, whether and it can go from anywhere to anywhere, right? For example, web development, it is there. I don't know if most of you know, but I'm pretty sure everybody is familiar with Instagram, right? Everybody uses Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram was built on Django and Matplotlib. And what is Django and Matplotlib? They are the Python related um, frameworks. Excuse me. So any sphere you take up, you will see Python being used. Web scraping, right? What is web scraping? You see, you hear every day this news, that news comes directly to you. All that is done through Python web scraping because it scrapes with Python, you can scrape the web. You can look for what you're looking for, right? Not just in these spheres. There are data science, obviously. I don't even have to mention AI, ML. Prerequisite is that you should know Python, right? DevOps, you should know Python. It's a prerequisite. All these places nowadays, it's a prerequisite that you need to know Python. If you don't know Python, or if you, I should rather say, if you can't code in Python, the chances are very less that you're going to get through the interviews. So I don't need to tell that why Python is important. I'm pretty sure you already know that because Python has been there for a long time and all of you have already heard most of it, what I've just said, right? So why this course or what does this course has to offer different than others is what I'm going to talk about in a minute. But let me first answer this big question. Is this course for me? So yes, if you fall under anywhere here, including non-IT who are planning to move into IT, even those, absolutely. Because Python is the number one skill that is looked at the resume. Now, is Python alone going to get you? I doubt it. But of course, it's number one requirement these days that you should have Python in your resume. I One more thing that I would like to mention about my experience and stuff is I do a lot of interviews for my company and I work for a good big Fortune 500 company. So, and I've been doing the interviews also for a long time. So what we see is how much people have learned, how much people can actually really code in Python. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in a minute. But before, let me answer the other important questions. So I hope it's clear that you don't have to ask me, Ankit, I'm not from IT, I'm not from this. Any background you have, as long as you want to get into IT, then you know you have to learn Python. So there's a question in the chat from Ramandeep. How do we know in DevOps how much we need DevOps? Well, this is not a DevOps course, but I'm not sure about your question. Maybe you can ask Bhaskar. He's the DevOps guru. He can answer that question. But as far as I can tell you, just so to keep things in the perspective, you definitely need to know Python because DevOps, one major thing is that you need to know scripting. If you don't know scripting, if you're a manual person, it's going to be very tough. It's not going to be impossible, of course. You can still land into a job, and there are people, I know people. But of course, Python scripting or understanding Python makes your life a lot easier, your job a lot easier. And that's why it's very important in DevOps as well. How much? I don't think so. There is any defined way that, we can answer that. Somebody is again asking a question. I'll come to the chat in a minute because all these questions are usual questions, and I'm going to answer that question. Whoever asked that because the name is showing is Python Mithun. So first of all, please log in with your names, guys. If you don't know, it's just on your left hand side. There's a settings button on the GoTo meeting. Just click on it. It will tell you to, it will show you how to change your name. Go to service settings and it will show you. Because that's way I know who is asking what question and I can relevantly answer that question. But feel free to keep pouring your questions in the chat. I will be answering all of those. But some of those will be answered in a minute. So actually, the same question. Let's take that one. Is this question, is this course a basic course or advanced course? So it's a hero to zero course, zero to hero course. I said the ulta. What does this mean? You don't have to have absolutely no knowledge about coding, not just Python. I'm saying no coding knowledge is also fine because we're going to start from very basics. And that's what most people don't understand, that in order to learn advanced, they have to first understand basic very well. And that's also going to bring me to my point. What do you get extra out of this course? Or why this course? Why not just go through YouTube? Why not just go through Udemy? Why not go through so many Coursera places? Because if you'll notice, and I know most of you or some of you at least would have tried that way, because everybody tries to learn Python these days, either by themselves, by some course or something. The major problem is all of them tend to take you to advanced pretty soon. The only reason for that is because they want to finish the course. They want to show that, okay, you can learn Python in 4 hours. You can learn Python in this much time. You can do this. But the problem is you don't understand any of the advanced concepts. Let me show you some concepts. Not just this, there are more actually. This content for document is always getting updated, and I'm always giving you extra stuff. Some stuff is not mentioned even here. For example, generators. It's a very, very important concept. Short interview questions. Those things are not there, but those are very advanced concepts. But you won't understand a word about it until you go through all of this in detail. And that is the biggest problem. Most people try to skip this or just do it like in an hour. I'm pretty sure whoever has gone through videos, they will know what a dictionary is. But if I ask, how do you merge two dictionaries, they would not know. If I ask something little bit more in detail for lists and tuple or sets, they will not know. Because that is the biggest challenge. Nobody wants to talk about basics. But, and believe me, I've been doing this for a lot of time. Basics is very important. So I take you through these topics in detail, and then we go progressively towards the advanced topics. Of course, advanced is important because at the end of the day, if you take anything, including our today's demo, I'll be showing you towards the end, anything that you do, any package that you learn, any framework that you work on with Python, you need to know absolutely oops and oops in Python. If you don't understand oops in Python, then you cannot work in Python. Trust me. Even though some people will argue that if you know functions, you can still work. Yes, but what you get with Python, what you get with oops, you just cannot get with functions. I'll give you simple examples about this statement after a minute, but let me first answer other questions. So I hope the question was asked and that's answered. It's basic to advanced. Of course, very advanced as well, because we're going to talk about the most advanced framework, which is Django. It's one of the most complicated frameworks. It's not easy to understand. And the demo today will also be in Django. So I'll show you what exactly at the end of the course you will be able to build. And when we go to the project, this is going to be the project as well. I will start with again showing you even from scratch how do we go through the documentation, how do we look, what do we look where, because tomorrow there are thousands of frameworks, right? And you could be working in any framework. You could be working in Flask, you could be working in Paramiko, you could be working in SSH2. All my DevOps friends, you guys will be working in Paramiko and SSH2 and Boto 3 for AWS and stuff. So nobody can cover all the packages. But what you have to understand is how you approach a package. How do you start working with a framework? How do you start making your way through the documentation? And for all that to understand, you have to understand this. This, what you see, it looks like just 4 or 5 topics, but this alone takes 2.5 weeks. I spent a good amount of time on this. This is very detailed so that you understand everything in detail. If you look at any program, of course, today you won't understand any Python program. Polymorphism and inheritance, especially inheritance, is a part of it. Even if you write simple line as print hello world, even that has oops in it. It's just that you don't know it or you don't see it because you don't know it yet. And to understand OOPS, you need to understand all of these things which are above, which are basics. So again, you have to understand very well basics, then only you can understand advanced, and then only you can understand OOPS. And from here, you can go to any framework or domains. Why I say domains? Because if you want to go to data science domain, AI/ML, that's another beast. But you need to know all of this. Only then you can get to these. That is the main thing that I'm trying to explain. And of course, even if you have zero coding experience, that's fine. All you need is an internet and a desktop or a laptop or a PC where you do the assignments that I give and you start following the classes every day. All right. So the other usual question I get is how are the classes done and what are the timings? So let's first talk about the timings now. So I'm going to give the timings in IST, whichever zone you are, like I myself in US time zone. So you'll have to convert it. But it's basically 7:30 a.m. every day, but Tuesday to Saturday. This is per India time. And I think somebody just asked this, that 1.5 hour class. Yes, the document says 1 hour because it's just easy to say it that way. It's like a month's time, but not actually a month, a little over a month's time. So that's why we're going to extend now to 1 to 1.5 hour. It's not strict 1 or 1.5 hour. Basically, it's just as we go. If I'm explaining a topic, I'm not just going to stop exactly at 8:30, right? I will go to 9. And this happens even now, even if we do 1 hour classes. So me and Bhaskar talked about it and we decided let's just do it as a 1.5 hour class because almost every time I'm extending classes. And that also brings me to my next point, which is the most value add that you're going to get. And that is my classes are not one way that I'm just talking and you're listening. It has to be interactive. I make sure all students interact. Now, some people will say that, oh, that disturbs the other people, disturbs the class. But the main point is, and this is coming from somebody who's been interviewing people, what I see when I interview people, they're good in writing the code. But when it comes to talk, they're not able to explain it. And believe me, if you're not able to explain your code, most of the interviews will think that either you have copied it from Google or you do not know. So even talking is an art, and you have to understand how to answer the interview questions. Very, very important. We're going to talk about this in almost every day. So I start with the topic. First, I explain you what the topic is, very basic stuff. I keep asking every now and then if anybody who doesn't understand. All I say is when I'm talking, just wait for me to finish the sentence. Then, of course, you can unmute and ask. The benefit of that is you get your hitch out because if you can talk in 20 people in front of 20 people, you can then make it easy when you're actually going to get into an interview. So interaction is very important. And I'll go in a minute about my feedback from previous batches, which I think we've even stopped taking it almost in 6 months. But you will see that is number one thing uh, that most people have said, not this one, interacting experience. If you look at it, I just gave four choices. These are all added by them. And these are all batches like you from Mithun Technologies, not from my previous batches. So everybody says this is what is different. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That is something you don't get in any YouTube or Udemy video. The way to answer the interview questions. Second, you have to be interactive, very, very interactive sessions. So that is the reason I almost always end up doing definitely more than an hour. So we're going to do this time 1.5 hour classes because I want everybody to talk and everybody to understand everything. So, and if somebody is from the US time zone, it's easy for me, so I can tell you because this is what my time zone is, 9 to 10:30. Oh, sorry, 10 to 11:30 EST. This might change soon, but it won't impact the others because we're always going to talk about this time zone. This is just for some people like me who are in US time zone. But I will be changing my time zone. You don't have to worry about it. Excuse me. So this is another usual question. Then there is another important question that recordings, right? So recordings are available after every class. It takes some time, not sure, maybe 45 minutes. Sometimes I even take 20 minutes, but I am not responsible for it. Raju or admin will be sharing it. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So once we have a final group, we'll have a WhatsApp group where everything will be shared. Yeah, see Raju saying 30 minutes, sometimes even 30 minutes. So just have to be patient. They will be shared. He doesn't also have a handle on it because it's a go-to meeting thing. It takes time to convert it. So he will be sharing it in the WhatsApp group. But source code and class notes that I do are shared immediately, right after the class. So I generally share it right after the class so that you can at least take the code and start practicing. Because I highly recommend you should practice. The more you practice, the more better programmer you become. And now some people might be thinking Ankit is using a term programmer, developer. Doesn't matter. Today's world, if you want to get a good job, high paying job, even DevOps guys, QA guys, they are all called as developers because somewhere or the other they are developing, either they are developing scripts or they are developing Python programs or something. So that's why everybody is called a developer. And I don't know if some of you might not even know this or some of you may know this. The big companies like Amazon, they have a term called SDET, Software Development Engineer and Test. So the name itself tells you development. Because these companies do not just want to hire manual QA guys. Nobody's hiring manual QA guys these days. They want people with the ability to code. It may not be same as developers, but at least they should have the ability to code. So that brings to my next point. What other benefit you get? So it's called code optimization. Most people don't even know what it is, but this is the basic of clearing an interview if you're planning to interview with these companies. I don't know how many of you already know what FAANG is. Actually, it changed to MANG now. It's basically Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. So Ramandeep is asking in market what is the ranking of Python. I think I just answered it, Ramandeep. If you Google it, you can get that answer. Python is already the number one skill, beat any field. But of course, your question is very general. If you ask in what market, for example, in data science market, so Python, R, and Scala is important. But if you ask in web development, then Django is very much important. No more Java. People used to think Java is the only application. Not at all. And Django itself is built on Python. If you ask QA, there are so many tools that are there in QA. There's one called Robo. There's one called Selenium. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. These are all built on Python. And the scripts that you write in them, they are so familiar. They're literally like writing code in Python, just very minimal changes. So again, you need to understand the importance of Python rather than where it stands, how you're going to, or what you are learning basically, right? That is the most important thing. No question, it is the number one seeked skill today in any interview. There is no doubt about it. You can Google it. You don't have to take my word for it. AI ML. I'm sure everybody has heard ChatGPT. I'm sure everybody has heard about AI ML. If you look, any AI ML class or any AI ML job, the basic prerequisite is Python. Otherwise, you can't even understand data science. You need to know at least this much in Python. Only then you can advance to other things like data science or any frameworks that are very complicated or that are new or that are challenging or they're different in different domains. For example, I don't know how much of you know there's a TTS, text to speech. Again, it's built in Python. What does it do? It's the basic or the backbone of your IoT. What is IoT? I'm sure everybody has a basic idea about it. But I'll give you a very simple example. I'm sure all of you at least would have used either the Hey Siri or the Google thing. I'm not saying it because it's sitting in front of me. It'll start talking otherwise. So all that is text to speech engines. They take or speech to text the other way as well. And they're all built inside Python. In fact, as a matter of fact, one of my students in some previous batch, I don't remember which batch he was in, he used it to make some programs on his laptop, which will do the exact same thing. He even customized his own voice instead of Siri's voice or anybody's voice that they use. So my point is, this part is your step two. It's actually left on to you where you want to apply it. I'll tell you, most people don't even know, but I don't know if you guys have heard, but there are trading bots these days. If anybody knows what trading is, you trade into stocks and stuff, then probably you know what trading bot is. So Python is the backbone of it. You can completely automate the trading itself. Like you can tell when to buy a stock, you can tell when to sell a stock, and you can just simply go into sleep and it will do it for you. This is something which is my area of interest too. And I have myself made a trading bot. It took me a lot of time, but it is working. It is doing wonders. So the point being, anything that you want to go to, which is the next step, except for DevOps. DevOps obviously and all these frameworks are here, but anything more advanced, you need to understand these. And that is why Python is the number one required language today. So I have some questions on chat. Let me go through them. Yes, Rajita, you're right. The document says 1 hour class. Just to give a perspective, how many classes in total, but we'll take 1.5 hour classes because 1 hour class, it's generally, it's going to be between 1 and 1.5 hour, but mostly it'll be 1.5 hour. Then there's a private message to me. Question is, sir, do we need any basic knowledge on C++, learning understand since Python, since OOPS is included? No, absolutely not. So this is another misconception that OOPS is C, C++ or Java. That is the biggest misconception. So first of all, OOPS in itself is no language. Most people don't even know this. They think OOPS, oh, C, C++, Java. And I'm not pointing to the person who asked that question. I'm just saying in general because this is a very common misconception. And to be honest, even I had it since almost like 15 years ago when I started. So first of all, OOPS is a framework. OOPS is a protocol. OOPS tell guidelines how to implement these four pillars: inheritance, polymorphism, and then there are two more missing, obviously, which we're going to talk in our sessions, which is abstraction and encapsulation, right? So these are the four pillars, and again, OOPS is a guideline that tells what needs to be done here, what needs to be done here, what needs to be done here, and what needs to be done here. So that is the first thing. Now, every language, whether it's C++ or Java or Ruby on Rails or Python, there's so many which are OOPs. They all are object-oriented programming language. But every language has their own way of implementing these. So you do not have to, the answer to the question again was, do I need to know C, C++? The answer is no, absolutely not. Because when we start, we'll be starting from very basic. So I don't even start directly on these. That is another thing that you'll find a difference. In any video that you'll hear or any other course, they will directly start with either inheritance or polymorphism because that is the primary pillar in Python. But before going here, you need to understand these. And again, these are very simple four-line things. But again, basics itself take a week. I explain in detail what a class and object is. How do you do constructors? How do you do destructors? We talk a lot of them in detail. Static variables, class variables. Nothing of them is mentioned here because this is just a guideline. We don't just like do 1 day this, 1 day this, and we're done. Absolutely not. This is not that course. Like I said, it's a very, very detailed course, and the whole idea for it is to become an OOPS expert, a Python OOPS expert. That is the whole idea. Because if you are a Python OOPS expert, this thing becomes not as challenging as it is. But if you don't know this, I can guarantee, nobody is going to give you this guarantee, but I'm giving you 100% guarantee, you cannot do any of this. And if you don't know this, you can't do this. And if you don't know this, you can't do this. So it's like a chain. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. And that's why I tend to spend a lot of time on this, good amount of time on this, and then again, a lot of time on this, because these are your pillars. Only then you can get to any framework. Then you don't need me tomorrow because everybody's going to work in a different field. Some of you might be working in DevOps. Somebody may want to work in AI ML. Somebody may want to work in web development. Somebody may want to work in trading bots or text to speech like another person. Who knows, right? So the main thing is you need to be equipped with the exact knowledge that you need to work in any framework as long as it's in Python. And as I said already, Python is the number one skill these days. You absolutely must know Python if you want to ace any interview. So I went a little digressed after this. So this part was left. So let me explain a little bit more here because this is the most value add that you get with me. So, like I said, if you're aiming for these companies, they look for code optimization. Even if you're writing a simple script, even if you're writing a very simple script to do something basic, they still want it to be optimized because they cannot afford lengthy codes. They cannot afford codes which are not optimized because their networks run on highly and highly optimized code. We're coming from so many developers. That's why one of their major criteria in interviews is that your code should be optimized. So again, what is code optimization? See, code optimization is a skill. You can write a code simple into 3 lines or 5 lines, and it will work, and it's perfectly valid code. But then with me, what you're going to get is that you have to understand how you can further optimize it. Because if you write, and again, you might have seen on Google also, people are writing, hey, I gave my Amazon interview, I knew all the answers, but still I didn't get selected. One of the reasons is this, because they think they wrote the right code and the code worked, no doubt about it. But again, if it worked, it is not necessarily it is optimized, because companies like Amazon need optimization. They cannot afford non-optimized code. Now, again, it doesn't mention anywhere here, but we talk about functions in long. So, for example, Lambda is one such example. That's why you might have heard people are scared from Lambda functions. I spend a lot of time on this. I explain you in detail what are those. Why are those so important? Why are those asked in interview questions? And also, again, it's not here, but I will put it now. There are three functions. I give you a 2000% guarantee if you follow my class. These three I explain in about 1.5 day, not in one class. So if you follow my class, there's a 2000% guarantee there will be an interview question on this. So what else you want? And why it is? Because this is, along with Lambda, is one of the most optimized way of writing the code. So that is what is very, very important. I can't highlight this part and this part again. That is what is the value add that you get. And of course, this part, interactive and how to answer the interview questions. All these things are very important, and take it from a person who's been interviewing for almost, I think, 10 years now. I don't even remember how long I've been interviewing people. And I've been into various different companies and various different roles. So that's why this is very important. And I think I forgot to mention one more thing here. Recordings are available for 90 days from the class date. So, for example, if today was a class one, you only have 89 more days for this recording. Again, these are not my rules. These are Mithun Technologies rules. Most of you already know him because you're from their other batches. But if you don't, then this is very important. And honestly, I'm just like you. I'm not an admin, so I don't even have access to it. So you can't ask me that, Ankit, can I get these or not? Of course, Raman, that is what exactly I was explaining. So it's not just, I think I even said it right, how to answer the interview question. So first I tell you what is a question. Then I give you guys a chance to answer it. And then I tell you this is actually an interview question. And then I tell you what is the best way to answer it. That's exactly what I'm saying, what you just asked in the chat, that exactly how you should be answering the interview question and how you should lead, or how you should leave leading questions. That's a very important thing. I don't know how many of you here follow Quora, but if you're not, whether you join this course or not, go and make an ID on Quora. Personalize it for yourself. If you ever aspire for Amazon, Apple, or Google, these three companies, you will find tons of information about what I'm saying, and then it will make more sense. Similarly, get on Stack Overflow as well. These are very, very important websites. Again, doesn't matter whether you want to do development or not. All right. So, did I miss any other question? I think, I believe don't. Yeah. Now, before I show you the demo, if anybody has any question, please let me know. Oh, one more thing before I forget. No resume prep. I do not do this. I really do not have time for this. And I personally think if you do Google, you get a lot of inputs out of them. Yes, if you do Google and come back to me and say, Ankit, can you help me? I can definitely do that, but I'm not going to make your resume for you. There's no way I can do that. I don't have time and I don't have energy for it. And I don't think so Mithun Technologies does it either. But you can check with Bhaskar and Raju. If they do it, then maybe they can help, but not me for sure. You have to, if I can definitely help you, which means you have made already a resume, you have gone through a lot of stuff, but if you want me to just proofread or if you want me to edit it, I can do that much. But I'm not going to make your resume. That's for sure. All right. Now go ahead, guys, if you have any questions before I start the uh, demo. and you can unmute or you can put it in the chat. All right. Looks like I answered all the basic questions that you have. But if you still have, feel free to ask later also, and you can send it to either Raju or Bhaskar, and they will send it to me. All right. So let's talk a bit about the project that we are going to do. So now you might be thinking, why are you choosing web development, right? Okay, there's a question from Naveen, sir. Will you cover PySpark? Again, Naveen, so it's a good question. Let me take that opportunity to answer it in a different way. So it actually falls here, right? Or you can say framework or libraries. You can say anything like that. So there are thousands and thousands of framework. Nobody can cover all framework in 1 month, right? Again, like I said, my point is to make you enable to to understand any framework, any library, any package that you do in future. So only framework that we are going to talk about is Django, which is our project as well. I hope this answers your question. Because there could be so many frameworks and I can't cover every framework. But in Django, like I said, I show you right from how you even start writing your first line using the documentation. Why? Because that will help you tomorrow to go and work on any framework, whether it's PySpark, whether it's Matplotlib, whether it's SciPy, whether it's NumPy, anything. See, all frameworks are different. One thing is for sure. But approaching a framework needs two important things. Any framework, it's the common thing. One, you should know all of this. Like I said, that is the primary objective of mine. If you don't know OOPS, you cannot approach any framework. Number two, you should know how to go through the documentation. So tomorrow your team lead comes and say, hey, we are stopping Django. Can you make the same thing that you did in Flask? What will you say? Sir, I only got trained in Django. I'm not going to work on it. No, right? So you should know how you can do the same thing with Flask. In fact, Flask is a very microservice compared to Django. Django is very complex. And that is the reason I chose Django. That's why I took this question as an opportunity, like I was saying. Even I don't work in web development, if you guys should know this. I do not, I have no idea about web development in detail. I don't work in web development. The reason I chose this project is because when you start going through Django, you'll understand, and even if you Google, it is one of the most complex frameworks to understand. So my simple idea is if you understand one of the most complex frameworks, why will you not be able to understand Flask or PySpark or anything, for example, Boto 3 or anything? Because then it becomes much easier. And same thing I'm doing with, where is it, database. I'm going to talk about PostgreSQL. I'm not going to talk about MySQL or SQLite 3. So with Django, the default is SQLite 3, but I delete it on day one and I show you, and also I'll be showing in the demo as well in a minute, how we are going to use PostgreSQL, because PostgreSQL is again one of the most advanced and complicated databases at this moment. So you need to learn how you're going to go about a project. Once you understand that, you don't have to worry about any framework. You can learn any framework yourself. Tomorrow also, when you go and start working, your lead can ask you, hey, are you comfortable with this framework? You can say, yeah, give me a day, let me do my research. I'll show you how to do all of that. And then you can just go back and say, yes, I can do it. That's the whole point. Right? I hope I answered your and other questions as well, because I know some people would have this question as well. So let's go ahead and see the demo of the project. And this is the exact project that you will be doing from scratch. Today, obviously, you're going to see the whole code. But when we are done, I start with right from the basic, like I said. So what is this? This is more like a very, very minuscule version of Amazon. And what is Amazon basically? It's basically a supply chain management kind of a website where you have products and you go and buy products, right? So I'm going to just show you a simple module, how you can use that in a website like Django or using Django. So without further ado, or if anybody has any question, I can still take one more. Otherwise, let's just do it after the demo. Actually, before I go there, I had another demo that I prepared for you because Bhaskar told me that most of you are from DevOps background, right? So I happen to work on a tool or on a framework called Scapy. Again, what Naveen just asked, right? Tomorrow, SciPac or any framework. So this happened some months back, or maybe 8 or 9 months back at my work. And everybody was like, oh, we have a requirement. The requirement was we have to start, and I'm from networking background. If anybody's from networking background, they can understand it better. That we have to start sniffing on the wire what is going out the packets, right? So everybody started searching, and I came up with a module called Scapy. I don't know if anybody has heard this. So it is a very powerful tool, as you can see, or library that is written in Python. Like I said, if you do simple uh, sniffing Python package, you will get so many. There's a sniffer here, then there's Scapy. There's so many of those. Python 3 packet sniffer. Again, here it is using Scapy. So I just started working on Scapy and I did some stuff on it. So that's why I know. And I'll just give you a very, very brief demo on it so that you understand what it is. And then also this is my trading bot, as you can see, but I'm not going to take you through all that because that's going to take another hour and we don't have that much of time. So let me quickly just show you this because this is more for relevant for people who are from DevOps background and networking background, right? So let me take you quickly there. Downloads. So the way you started is and all of this you can just miss for now. Don't worry about it. But if you open this up. So what I wrote the code, I'm not going to show you now, otherwise you'll get all confused because it's a different kind of a code. But if you just look at it, I'm going to show you a basic example, and then I'll show you what I've been saying. So if you want to just do a basic ping, I hope everybody knows what ping is, right? To check whether you have connectivity and how many packets you can send or not. So the protocol is basically called ICMP, right? And then R is equal to SR1 of P, for example. There you go. So I sent one packet and I got 20 packets as answers. Such a simple line of code, just 2 line of code, and I'm able to do it, right? But if you look at this, what is this? Just this part. This is nothing but a function which is inbuilt. This is nothing but a function call. Again, this is nothing but a function call. But all these are related to object-oriented programming. The code that I've written is all completely in object-oriented programming. Again, that brings to the same point. You might understand this very simply. Why is this not opening? You might understand all of this, you might look at it very simply, but until you know this, you really cannot do much in anything. If I just do R, it will tell you, again, this is my list that has a lot of other elements. Now, most people know what list is, but when I teach about it, we go into a lot of detail. Now you can see source and destination, right? So if I just want to see my source, it should be or destination. So this is actually my laptop's IP. Why it isn't destination? Because ping is the other way. I send something and then it comes back to me. And that's what I was trying to do. I received 20 packets, so I become the destination. If you want to see the IP of source, anybody has a question? I hear somebody going unmute. Okay. Just reserve your questions until the demo is done. Then I'll answer all those questions. And if you Google, this is probably one of the Google's IP because we sent to google.com. Again, very simple program, but it can make your life so simple and so easy. I'm not going to show you this program because this was not my demos part. And then I'll show you a lot of things that I can show you. So this is as simple as automating my daily work. I need this. I'm on a MacBook, so most of you will understand this command. Hope you understand. So I need one of the applications to run in multiple mode. That is called Thinkorswim. It's a trading software. Anyways, I'm not going to bore you with it. So all I do, I just automate it and I just run it as a script. This is how you run it as a script. But end of the day, you need to know try and exception, all of these things. Sub process. What is sub process? That is nothing but your main class that I'm importing here. Again, when you hear the word class and you look at this, this is nothing but calling a function from an object of a class. Again, class objects, all of these things are nothing but your oops. So any program you take, you have to understand those things. All right, this is now the demo that I'm going to show you is the actual project that we're going to do at the end of the course. Like I said from the very beginning, but you should have an idea what we're doing. So let me open this. It opened up in another browser. Here it is. Again, don't compare it with Amazon because Amazon was built not in a day, but thousands of employees have built it. But main thing on Amazon is what? Products, right? So that is something that I've tried to automate here, not automate, sorry, create here. And these are some of the products that we have added. So what I'm going to show you is this is the main functionality, and of course what I was showing you that you're going to learn how to write in Django. And how do we add the product? How do we go ahead and connect it with the database? Again, the database is PostgreSQL, like I said, right? So I'm going to show you for now the demo portion that we are going to add a table, add a product, and it will be reflected in the database as well as on this page as well. And then you can do all of this if you click view more. I don't know if anybody knows this. These are called slugs, which I'll show you in a minute what they are and what they're used for. But as you can see, this is probably the new one, iPhone 15 or 13 Pro, whatever it is. I just copied data from Wikipedia and then different things. Bikes and cars is my thing, so let's go ahead and add it. So these are the two things that I will show how to do, and then exactly same code you have to use, and you have to just add vendors and orders because those are the three main things in Amazon, right? So let's start with just adding a category. So I'll show you, this is my database, which is PostgreSQL, and these are the tables. This is the database that I'm using right now. This is from the last batch, as you can see, August 2023 database, and then this was even from the May batch. But anyways, let's go back here. This is the database in real time, and these are all the products. So 7 products so far. Category. Let's add another one. Was this category or product? It was category. So category names we can say supercars of the world. If you noticed, the spaces are automatically getting converted with these dashes. This is nothing but slugs. Where are slugs used? Anybody knows? You can put it in the chat. Anybody? Anybody has any idea? All right. You go to any um, news website. Click on the biggest news. What do you see? The spaces are getting converted into these dashes, right? If you look at the headline, this is slugs. It is a search engine optimization thing, SEO. Basically, this is how these news becomes breaking news. And if you search anything related to just some keywords, like Israel or something, then these links will come up in your search. I'll answer that question, Dharani, in a minute, but give me a minute. Let me finish the demo first. So that is what slugs are. They're very helpful in search engine optimization. So as you can see, I've used Python to create it automatically for me. I'll show you the code also for this, but you won't understand much today. All right, there you go. So I was able to add it right here. These were the ones that I added before. Let's quickly go and check in the database. It should have happened. Now, this is, I think, product. Let's actually go ahead and add one product as well. Then we'll come back here, the whole thing. Now let's go ahead and add a product. So this is the admin version, meaning somebody at the Amazon. So iPhone 15, for example, came, right? So somebody who's adding the details before the phone actually went live, something like that. So I'm going to add a car here. So let's go with Ferrari 458 Italia. I don't even know. I'm just going to give something big here. Vendor I can leave as it shows you in gray. I'll show you everything when we start coding about it. How do you get these? These are very important. And then I know it could be a little boring for next 5 minutes, but at least you'll get a hang of it, what you're going to learn to build. That's why I'm doing all this. Now, this is not a part of Django, but I'll show you how to integrate third-party frameworks as well. This is coming from Seek Editor, not from Django. So I'll show you all of that. There you go. What did I do? One field is mandatory. And there you go. We were able to add it. Now let's quickly see in the database, and then let's quickly see in the, there you go. You might have seen there was 7 earlier. This is my database, and it got completely added with the image as well. Now let's go back, and this is PostgreSQL. So the database connectivity is right there, as you can see. Now let's go ahead and see it on our site and under products. So the problem is with the image. The image didn't upload properly. Let me try and upload image again. 1 second, guys. Right, let's see. There you go. And there it is. We just added this. This is what I added. This is the price. And I'll show you how to display all of this, everything in detail. Then just like Amazon, if you click view more, now follow what I was just saying. It will change into slugs. See the name change into slugs. That's how you get your particular things in under your website more up in your Google search. And then this gives you more details all from your Wikipedia and stuff. So this is just a brief idea of what we are going to do. All of this is in Python. You don't have to know anything in SQL. You don't have to know anything in database. I will be telling you everything and only that much, as much is needed. That's all is required. Now, let me quickly show you how easy some things are. Of course, this code you don't understand, but we'll go through it in detail. But for now, let me just show you very simple stuff. So the whole website is in uh, US, English US, and just by simple change, the whole website got changed to German, if you look at it. Similarly, I can change it to Spanish. I hope I wrote it right. No, I wrote it wrong. I think it's Espanol, so ES. There you go. Now it is Spanish. It can even be done in Hindi. I just found out the other day. There's a full RFC for it. So now it's Hindi. Some of you might know Hindi. Some of you might know Telugu. I don't know how to read it, but at least I can show you. See, just with a simple touch, you're able to do it. You can't, I bet you can't do this in Java. Not at all possible. That's the beauty of Python. You can do so many things in Python so easily. There are actually more. You can do it in whatever language you like. I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but I hope you get the idea. So, understanding how to bring this up. Let me show you the little bit of peek on the code. This is the code. If you look at it, this is your product code that we just added. I'm sure some of you might know. What is this? Class. The very first line itself is object oriented. What is this? This is inheritance. You inherit it from a class here. And that is the number, the first line of code you can say that you have to start. So that much important is object oriented programming. You cannot do anything without knowing this. See, we are here with the project, with the PostgreSQL. What we needed to start writing here. If we don't write the object-oriented programming code, if I don't inherit, this is inheritance right here. Come on, come on. If I don't inherit this model class, what is a class? Class is a part of object-oriented programming. What is this? This is inheritance. That is the number one pillar in Python. If you look at here, this is the first pillar in Python. These four are the pillars. If you don't understand this much, you can't even start writing the code in Django. And what is Django? Like I was explaining to you, it is one of the frameworks. It is one of the most complicated frameworks. So again, most of you have this question in your mind. Should I know this framework? Should I know this framework? You should not concentrate on just framework. You should concentrate on making yourself enabled to be able to learn any framework tomorrow. And development is not going to stop, right? Today there are 1,000 frameworks, actually more than, I don't even know, lakhs of frameworks, not even thousands. And then going forward, by the time you finish a course, there will be even more. So you should be looking at how I can get best at Python so that I can pick up any framework tomorrow that is given to me by my team lead. And for that, this is very important, which I explain in detail. For that, this is very important. Again, Otherwise, you cannot get this. So it's sequential, one after the other, right? All right. I can show more demos to you if anybody's interested, but I'll take a pause if you guys have any question. If not, I'll probably show you my trading bot as well, which will actually go ahead and uh, create orders for particular stocks. But anyways, first I want to listen from you guys. Anybody has any question, you can either unmute or put it in the chat. I'm looking at the chat also. So there is actually a question privately to me. What are the, Shweta, I'll just come back to you, sorry. What are the IDEs we are going to use? So good question. So some people, not some people, some interviews ask this, that what are the IDEs that you know? Again, you don't have to worry about these things. Once you understand the language, that is the main important thing. But to answer the question, VS Code and Google this, most people don't even know it stands for Visual Studio Code. It's free. Also, by the way, all the um, tools that I'm using and I'm going to show you, everything is going to be free. You just have to follow my instructions. I give clear written instructions, how to install, from where to install, what to do. You'll never have to pay even a penny unless you decide to go and launch a website. And that too, one person has done from, I think, I don't remember which batch, but he used the free version of EC2 instance and S3 bucket. So it's very easy to do it as well. But anyways, so VS Code is the primary one. The one that I was showing also is VS Code. And like I said, it is the most commonly used. I use this at my work as well. And this is mostly used at work these days. But if anybody is interested, I will definitely be able to help them with other IDs, which are Anaconda or Jupyter. And what is the other one? PyCharm. IDs is not really that big a thing. You need to understand the language importantly. They're just for your help, basically. But the main thing is, if you want to go for this, right? I don't know if you know this or not, but you don't even get an ID in the interview. You only get a notepad. So it's very important to learn the right way. IDs are just for your help. But yeah, we can do all of that. That's not a big deal. All right. Go ahead, Shweta. You had a question, right? I think you were trying to unmute and I stopped you.
Uh, Hi Ankit, I am from
Hi.
non-IT background. My basic question is, after listening demo classes, I am thinking like, am I able to follow or not? Because
Absolutely.
I
That's what I
would
was
like
saying,
to
right?
know it from basic, because I completely don't know about programming language. I am from completely non-IT background.
100, 200%. So I'll tell you what, there's a person called Satya. I can't get better than
Okay,
this. He is,
okay.
and once obviously whoever joins, they get to be a part of the big Python group. He's there. You can directly ask him. He, I think, has 15 or 16 years of non-IT experience. You know what he
Uh,
did? And that's why I remember his name. I think he trained last year, or maybe even more than that, year and a half or so. But I still remember him because he was the guy who has never missed any class. All of my classes he attends. He's done every assignment. And the best part, he's after doing the assignment, and this is also what I allow everybody, you can directly ping me. You don't have to wait or you don't have to go in the group. He used to ask me, send me his code and ask me, Ankit, is there any way I can optimize it further? And then I would respond to him, yes, you can do this. Yes, you can do that. So as long as you're willing to learn, you understand English, you have internet and a laptop. These are the only three things you want. Absolutely. Any background. But yes, I will tell you one thing for sure, and not just Shweta, everybody who has less also experience in programming or non-IT, you will have to be just a little bit more involved in the sense you have to take the assignments very seriously. And it happens. People initial classes, they take assignments very seriously. And then as time goes, they stop doing it. So I don't want you to do that because for you, you have to understand one thing that when you go to an interview, right, or when you share your resume, first thing that they will see is non-IT, right? So for you, your Python has to really, really stand out. And for that, you have to show projects like this and even more projects if you can. So again, example of that guy, Satya, he made a completely different website on this one. I think he did it on networking and he showcased it on his GitHub. So you would have to do those extra stuff and then you can easily move into Python and a high paying job. But my answer, so this was more to your question. My answer is absolutely you can, because I'm going to teach you just as if you don't know anything. You just
Okay.
understand English. That's all.
Actually, I'm working in supply chain management. So I have a total of 11
No,
years experience. So I'm just taking a Python classes that will really help in my automation projects in my company. So
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
the thing is they can teach us. They have taught us a basics one. But I wanted to
Hmm.
learn. I have more interest in automation projects, so I thought I can take extra classes outside and I can learn. So that's why I joined to this class.
No, absolutely. That's good. And
Yeah.
again, automation, script writing, all of this is today's Python is doing it. And that's what, in fact, I was just showing you, right? The other one, there is nothing but automation. Let me show it to you again. This is one of my stuff. So it's a very simple thing. All I do is this is automation. This is scripting basically. And like, you see a bunch of code that is not using because I just changed it. All I want is that when I click on this, oh, I can't share the screen. It's not here. Let me even give you that demo since you asked that. And people feel free to ask questions. I have some questions on the chat on personal one-on-one, but please go ahead. Others also ask questions while I'm answering her question. There's no way I can share that screen. Yeah, it doesn't allow me to. Okay, let me just change the screen and I'll show you the demo for this also. This is my own thing. I'm using it for my um, own benefit, but you can obviously do all of this. So where is my screen? This is my screen, I believe. Right? So as you can see, this is my desktop. This is my personal computer, not my office. And all I do now is just go here and double click on this. And everything is automated now, as you can see. It is going to open the same application 3 times for me. I'm not touching my keyboard. I'm not touching my laptop. It's even going to log in for me. I'm going to stop sharing because it will share otherwise other stuff. So the whole reason of showing this was that automation, and this is the script that I was showing you. Let me go back to that screen, right? That this is not, oh, not this one. This is the same file, dailytos.py, and just this much code, as you can see. That's it. Nothing else. Main thing is everything is here. But you know what is this? Again, this is object-oriented programming. So as long as you follow, as long as you do the assignments, as long as you're willing to learn that extra mile, absolutely. There is no doubt that you will be able to code or automate in Python. So I have a bunch of personal messages. Let me see. I hope, Shweta, I was able to answer your question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Feel free to ask more questions. I like questions. To get jobs in IT, is a degree is mandatory? Okay, it's a very good question. I wish I had an answer for this question. So again, I can't guarantee anybody that a job is possible or not. But obviously, IT. So his question is IT degree required or mandatory? The answer is yes or no. Yes and no both. I'll tell you why. So yes, because some jobs you will see they mandate a BTech, not even BSc computer science or something like that. But again, in India, the job market is very different. When I was in India, they were taking people without IT degrees also. But again, the answer I said yes is because for you or for anybody who does not have an IT degree, you will have to go that extra mile. Like I was telling Shweta, you're almost like a non-IT person because you need to showcase more. Otherwise, and I'll tell you why, and that also answers Shweta's question in detail. If your resume doesn't show that you have done some projects, if your resume doesn't have your GitLab link, nobody's even going to shortlist your resume because they will say, oh, you don't have an IT degree, you don't even. So my point is, just by writing Python, no, I'm being very honest. I won't lie, you can't get a job. You have to show Python, you have to show some frameworks like Django, and even more. You will have to do extra work. But that's the challenge. If you don't have a degree, if you're coming from non-IT, I hope you already understand. That's why you're here. You're smart to make this decision that it's not going to be easy, it's going to be challenging. So that is why the answer is no, it is not mandatory. You will get a job, but it is not going to be an easy task for you compared to a fresher who is just like you, right? Because a fresher is also like you. He doesn't know Python, but at least he has a BTech degree, so at least he'll get a better chance. But if you want to make your chances more, like I said, you have to add more frameworks, and better add projects. Even it could be simple projects, like making a calculator in Python. It's very simple, but don't do Google. Why? Because if you copy paste code from Google, right, every interviewer will understand that. Make sure you do it yourself and then put it on GitHub. And you need to share your GitHub and LinkedIn link in your resume. Then, yes. But otherwise, it's going to be difficult. Does it mean IT people don't have to do this? To some extent, yes, but this helps everybody. If you look at my resume, it is full of this. I'm also a contributing member on Stack Overflow. That is a big thing for me that I can show in my resume. But you don't get all these things overnight. I've been working in this for 10 years. Very hard working. I just don't do my job. I do a lot of extra stuff on weekends. I have back problem. I have neck problem only because of this, because I'm sitting in front of my computer. Like I showed you my trading bot. I love trading, so I started doing that on weekends. I can even show that in my GitHub. Another question on chat one-on-one. I am a 2019 pass out and not working after completing this. Can I able to join to it? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing that I just explained, right? Just course is not going to help you since you have a gap in your career, right? 2019, how much gap? 3 years. Yeah, so you have to be able to show some projects. As long as, again, I'm saying this is for everybody, not just freshers or pass outs. But for freshers or somebody like you who has a gap, this is mandatory, is what I'm trying to say. You have to show a lot of projects in your GitHub. Only then you have higher chances of getting a call. First, you have to get a call to get into a job, right? And then it's up to you how you can um, convert that call into a interview call into a job. Another question. No, it's okay. You don't have to say sorry. First, getting ready to my minimum. My doubt is how many years experience you can showcase with this course. I trained to DevOps as well, sir. Uh, so I can't answer to how many experience you can show because I personally don't believe in showing wrong experience. But I'll tell you one thing, even if you show zero experience, but you show 5 or 4 at least projects in your GitHub, along with the one that we are doing. Django is a big project. All of you can show it, just change your name, obviously, and all those things. We'll talk about it when we go to the project. But along with that, even if you're able to do simple calculator stuff, simple Excel stuff in Python, then of course your chances are very high. Any more questions? We're already 10 minutes above, but I am okay to extend it. Feel free, guys. Feel free to ask any question. No question is a stupid question. Even if you ask me to spell Python, I'll tell it.
Ankit, Shweta here. I mean, is it
Yeah.
possible to develop the dashboards using Python? Because I know that we can develop using Power BI, and that's my question.
Sorry,
Because
you're saying in this course or you're asking in a general way?
in general way.
Because we are not going to do, of course, yes. Answer is yes. Again, uh, actually Power BI borderly goes into data science. I've used Power BI, but I don't like it much since I myself do a lot of AI ML stuff. But to answer your question, yes, but not part of this course. Like I said, that falls under here. So not here, here. So that is something you can explore once you understand some framework and object-oriented programming concepts. But is there a reason you want to only use Power BI, or is it in your company that they use Power BI?
Yeah, we will develop usually plenty of dashboards for our business. So I
Okay,
just wanted to know, is it
okay.
possible in Python also? Because
Oh,
I haven't
absolutely.
done any automation in Python, but I have seen that people have done plenty of automations using Python.
Absolutely, absolutely. So whenever you have a doubt like that, right? And this is again general for anybody, just type
Mm.
this and at the end add package. Google is your best friend. And you will see so many, see Python Power BI. There it is. And always go to pypl.org. This is the best website. And this is what I was telling you that when we go to Django, I'll tell you how to even go through the description, how to go through the documentation, because you don't really need anything, no books, although I will also be sharing some books in PDF, but I'm just saying you don't need a book on Power BI to go through it. This website will tell you everything, starting from even how to install it, how to go for it. So you see, you have to first understand what is a service principal and all that. I don't know if you know it or not, but I'm just telling you. And then, of course, you need to know a bit about the REST APIs and all. But there is your answer. Yes, absolutely yes. I have done a project, I think 7, 8 years ago. I'll try to find it. If I still have that code, I'll be happy to give it to you. You can also showcase in your GitHub, but I'll have to find it. I don't know. I did it a long time back because I
Okay.
personally don't work on Microsoft or AWS
Okay.
because there are
Thank you.
competitors. Yeah, sure, you're welcome.
Okay.
Good questions. Yeah. Do we need to follow indentation in Python? Absolutely. That's a very good question, Muru. I'm glad somebody asked. So when I start the classes, I'll tell you what is indentation, how do we have to do indentation. But to answer your question, yes, we need four spaces in Python as indentation. But I'll tell in detail what it is. Don't worry about it. Just to show you what it is, it's basically this. So anytime that you're starting a class, you have to give four spaces. If you're starting a function, this is a function, you have to give four spaces. That is Python syntax. We'll talk about it. Don't worry. Yeah, four spaces of one tab. The only so somebody pinged me separately. The only reason I don't answer as one tab is again, see, perfect example. Why you should not just learn from Google or somebody. Most people will answer as one tab. It's not wrong. But you know why it is not right? Because some computers, some programs have one tab set to 8 spaces, sometimes even 16. So that will become a wrong answer. That's why you should always know the exact answer, which is 4 spaces. Uh, I know shell scripting, but when I see it looks very dangerous. No, no, no. Python is not at all dangerous. Trust me. See, I personally do a lot of shell scripting. Even now I do it. But I'll tell you what, I'm always talking to my lead and telling him, and he's not my lead actually, he's the project lead and myself the architect. So, but I'm always telling him, hey, we should move to Python. Because when I do that job, I tell myself I could have done it so easily in Python. So don't be afraid of it. It's not at all dangerous. It's very easy. You just have to understand it. That's all. If you understand it nicely, it will become your friend. And like I showed you, right, you can automate your own daily things also. Like today, if there's another program I have, I'm not going to keep showing everything, but I'm just telling you what I do. I just, same way, I just double click on it. It opens all the news websites that I want to look at because some of them are mostly trading websites because I want to see that in the morning. So you can use Python as a fun game as well, which is going to help you a lot. It's that easy. It's not at all dangerous. Not at all. In fact, the whole that brings me to another good point. So I don't know, many people don't even know this, but you know why was Python invented, first of all? Anybody knows that? Actually, that's his answer. What Raman has asked. It's not dangerous at all. So, Mr. Gaidu Rossum, who's the inventor of Python in I think 80 something, 82 or something, he invented it. That time C was very good. It was like at the peak and everything was in C. He found C to be very difficult, complicated, dangerous, like Ramandeep used the word. So what he did, he said, I want to make a language which is very simple to understand. And it is like English like language because he knew English and I think he is German. So he wanted to write a wrapper. So the very first version, not many people know this, of Python is actually called C Python. And the whole reason of that is because it is nothing but a wrapper on C to make it look like English. So now you can understand the inventor himself had challenges, so he made it so simpler that he even called it as C Python. In fact, fun fact, you'll still see some of it. Let me show you here. There it is. Do you see this at the end? C Python, C Python, C Python. This is all our project only that I'm showing you. So the initial version, and it's still there. If you Google it, you'll know that Python is underlying version is only C itself. C is very powerful. That's why I love C, C++ till date. And even when you go through the classes, you'll see some of my references for C++ as well. That doesn't mean you have to know C++. It's just my references are from there. Because Python itself is really an API kind of a language which runs to call the inbuilt C language. But the answer, sorry, I digressed a bit. The answer to your question, it's not at all dangerous because the whole invention of it was to make it simpler. So it's very easy. Right, Guido Van Rossum. That's why I said, right, Mr. Guido Rossum. I thought it was 82, but somebody pinged me and corrected me. It was in 1990. So Guido Rossum is his inventor. You're welcome, Ramandeep. No problem. Good questions, all good questions. I like when people ask questions because that means you want to learn something. That means you are inquisitive. And I also learned from that. See, I just learned, right? I was thinking 82, but somebody corrected me on my one-on-one message that it is 1990. Okay, any more questions? Otherwise, we can wind off. We're already 20 minutes late. So if you guys like what you saw, if you guys want to go ahead, please talk to I think Raju or Mithun, whoever you're talking to, you can talk to them and you can get enrolled. I think classes start from day after tomorrow, and it will be a WhatsApp group. You will be a part of that WhatsApp group. Yeah, there it is. Thank you, Raju. Regular classes start from 12th October. Um, and you have to talk to them to get enrolled, not to me. They run this, I don't run this. And then we'll go from there. All right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time. I hope you learned something new. I hope you liked what you saw, and hoping to see all of you in the class. Bye for now. Take care.
Thank you.